Hey everybody, welcome to my first episode of the Church Basement Chick. The recipe that I'm going to be talking about today and making for you is Kringla. And Kringla are a cookie it's flavored with either almond or vanilla extract. That's not to be confused with Kringle, which some of you may have heard of. Kringle is a pastry and it's filled with more of an almond paste. So these two kinds of recipes are completely different. As I was doing some research, I found that Kringla are originating from Scandinavia, specifically Sweden and Norway, and they go all the way back to the Middle Ages. The recipe that I'm making today is from a woman named Thora who went to the church my grandpa pastored in the 60s and 70s. I think she was of Swedish descent. They can be made in either a figure eight shape, which is what I usually make them in, or in the shape of a pretzel, which I found was the medieval symbol of bakers' guilds in Europe. So I just thought that was kind of an interesting fact. Just to walk you through the ingredients that go into this recipe before we start making it, it gets a half a cup of butter, an egg, a cup of sour cream, 1.5 cups of granulated sugar, a pinch of salt, and a teaspoon of baking soda. And it also gets a teaspoon of either almond extract or vanilla extract, depending on which flavor you prefer. I'll be using the almond today. Finally, after those are all mixed together, you put 3 cups of flour in there to start, and as you mix it, you'll want to add more flour until you get the desired texture, which I'll be talking about once we start baking together. So let's enjoy ourselves and let's make Thora's Kringla together. Let's get these Kringla going. So the first thing we're going to do is add our butter. Followed by our granulated sugar. And I always go ahead and crack my egg in there as well. All right. And then we'll mix those ingredients. Okay, that's good. You don't need to mix them up too much, just a little bit. Okay, next we're going to add in the sour cream. All right. That's 1 cup of sour cream. And then we can also add in at this point our pinch of salt, as well as our baking soda. Go ahead and run the mixer again until that sour cream is blended in. That looks pretty good. And I'll just show you really quick. It looks just kind of buttery, creamy, very wet at this point. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and add my 1 teaspoon of almond extract. And then I'm just gonna put in all 3 cups of the flour all at once, because like I said, I'm gonna be adding a lot more to get the feel in this batter that I want. So adding this up front is just the beginning. And the texture that I'm going for when I know that these Kringla are ready is that when I touch them with my fingers, I don't want them to be super sticky, because you actually have to roll them out on a baking sheet. Or not a baking sheet, but a baking mat. Okay, we'll mix one more time here. Pretty combined. So I'm gonna get my first feel of this batter, and actually it's already doing pretty good. It's not really super wet anymore, but when I touch it, it's still very sticky, and there's still a lot of it that's clinging to the side of the bowl. And so I do know that I need to add some more flour little by little until I get it to where the batter is all congregating around the mixer here. So now I'm getting the texture that I want in this dough. Let's check it here. I added a little bit more flour. See how a lot of it has congregated here on the mixer, and I can easily take it in my hand and roll it into a ball. And it's got just the right stickiness left over that I'll be able to roll it out on the baking mat with some flour, and it's gonna form right into some figure eights. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the baking mat set out, and then we'll get rolling on some figure eights. So now it's time to roll out the figure eights. So I'm going to just take a small chunk of dough, roll it in my hands a little bit to prep it, and then on my baking sheet, or my baking mat, I keep saying baking sheet. On my baking mat, I'm gonna put a little bit of flour to roll it in. Just put a touch on there. And then you can roll it into a little snake that's about the size of the pencils that kids use in preschool or kindergarten, and form it into the 8. There you go. Here, I'll hold it up so you can see it. It's a nice little 8. And then I'm just gonna line them up on the baking sheet behind me here. Okay, I'll do another one just so you can see. Just a touch of flour. Then I roll it out and form it into a little figure 8. Put it on the baking sheet. All right, so now that they're out of the oven, it's time for us to enjoy. I like to wait until they're cool because that's when you can really taste the almond or the vanilla flavor that you put in it. And my favorite way of having it is with a cup of coffee. I like iced coffee, so I made myself an iced latte to enjoy it with. My husband says that he likes to toast his in the toaster, so it works that way too. And Thora, the lady whose recipe this is, she recommended spreading them with butter on the top and serving. So anyway, you can let me know if there's any other creative ways that you've thought of to eat your Kringla. I want to just show you really quick before I enjoy. You can see that they're nice and white on the top, and then they have kind of a golden brown color on the bottom. When you break them in half, They're nice and fluffy in the middle and kind of airy. So that's why I love dunking them in coffee, because they just really soak it up and absorb it. So now, moment of truth. You already had your cookie. You can see my little one down there. Was it good? Was it good, cookie? Yeah. He's like, All right. Really good. Well, I hope you enjoyed learning about how to make Kringla and that you yourself can enjoy making this family favorite of mine. Thanks, and join me next time on my next cooking or baking episode of the Church Basement Chick.